Well, we're going back home. I'm pretty sure I've been out here for about solid 2 hours, maybe two and a half. So I'm going home. Some women actually came up to me from Panera Bread and were like, "Oh, thank you for supporting women's rights," and they gave me a cookie. Now, it has milk in it, so I'm not allowed to eat this, but it's already been off the market, so I'm just gonna give it to my mom. But yeah, I mean, not that it really matters from a principal point of view. I just don't like sugar. To be honest, I just don't like sugar. That's the reason I'm giving it to my mom. But when it comes down to it, it does have dairy in it, so yeah, rip. Someone just bought something for me that has dairy in it. Rip. But it was kind of them, even though they consequentially did something wrong. So I appreciate the gesture, I guess. But yeah, it was cool. They came up to me and gave me a cookie saying thank you for supporting women's rights. Ironically, I don't believe in rights. I believe they're just an instrumental tool. And I'm not out here to support women's rights. I'm out here to prevent birth. But, if they want to believe that I'm out here supporting women's rights, because consequentially I somewhat am, hey, if it makes them feel better and it gets me a cookie and makes them feel as though I made my day better, which usually makes people feel better when they make other people feel better, great. A win-win for everybody. So, hey, glad they're feeling good, despite the fact that I got a cookie that has dairy in it, so I'm not gonna eat it. I'm gonna give it away to my parents. But yeah, I had some okay conversations. I actually inspired someone to bring out a sign of their own. They're not anti-natalists, but they are anti like religion, I guess, in that sense. They're agnostic. So they actually brought out a sign of their own that says "Your heart matters" also, or something like that, something along those lines. Just like basically say that like counter protest the pro lifers and say that like you as a living person also matter. So that was kind of cool. I got another person to come out there and protest with me, counter protest with me. And also got another two people that came up to me and said that I was doing a good job and stuff like that. So that was kind of cool, I guess. Just huge. A few people come up to me almost every time I do activism and say like are supportive and that I'm doing some good stuff. Usually because they're counter like anti-theistic or women's rights supporters, and they consequentially helping them. So it's usually not because they're anti-natalists. So I've had anti-natalists in the past in Green Bay come up to me and say, "Thank you for helping out," But a pro-lifer just left. One of the pro-lifers gave me his number, and he just texted asking me if I was still at the corner, and I just left. So, but yeah, I'm gonna send him some stuff about how you can't have free will in heaven and shit, and some antinatalist Christian content, basically like talking about risk of hellfire and jazz like that. Now he's asking what I do for work. Kind of runs these motorcycle drivers over, just fucking douchebag. Beware of pro-lifers. Yeah. One of them just passed me on the left. There is no lane on the left, meaning he just zooped by me like my window by like 2 inches, like some douchebag. Fucking cunt. just making conversation, says Josh, a pro-lifer, asking what I do for work. Well, fuck your conversation, Josh. I don't give a damn. I have better things to do than converse with you. Let's find that video about free will. In the huge conversation we did. Keeps freezing. That's because I keep on opening up this text, but yeah.
Turn that off. Yeah, let's grab that. Otherwise, consequentially, would be wasted. That's no good. Hey, shut up. Someone gave me a cookie. I mean, two people gave me a cookie. They came up to me and were like, "Thank you for standing up for women's rights." And in my mind, I was just like, "Oh yeah, you're so welcome." In my mind, I was like sitting here like, "I don't believe in rights." But
Yeah, but you got a cookie, so.
yeah, but I got a cookie, but it has dairy in it, so not that it matters because it's already consequentially off the supply chain. But I don't really like those cookies anyways; they're too sweet. So you can have it.
I have 2 hot dogs in the refrigerator for you.
Okay.
They're in a bag with a hamburger and another hot dog, but they're the lighter color ones. That's the food.
Cool.
Vegan, is that what you're saying?
I'm gonna mute this because they don't want us to hear shitty ass country music. They're vegan hot dogs. Yo, I need to go to the bathroom. I've been fucking doing activism and live streaming for like last 6 hours. But I am gonna turn on my computer first and get the stream going on my laptop. Lord Almighty. Well, we can just remove that for now. Testing 1 2 testing. Okay, cool. It's working. Noise. Turn the TV on. Very good. But yeah, it's always the same bullshit. It's when you're doing activism, people call you a radical. They're like, oh, it's an interesting opinion. I'm not sure if like those pro-lifer people are pretty radical, but you're also pretty radical. I'm like, is it radical to point out that it's unnecessary to have kids, and everybody faces harm, so therefore it's an unnecessary imposition of harm on another being? For such thing as a wrong action is imposing unnecessary harm on another being. And I'd say birth qualifies as that. And you're looking, I think you're kind of an extreme. I'm like, fuck off. But yeah, I don't know, man. people, man, just same shit, different person. The religious people are just like hope and afterlife. But what about God? He didn't create evil. It's free will. You did it. Even though God created you, if that way. Same horseshit. But yeah, just another day. Some bullshit. Let's get this dub in Fortnite. Now I want the ethics. Testing 1, 2. Got a comment. What does it say? I hear. Ah, you do hear. Very good, very good. Hearing is good for the soul. That guy really is bad. He shouldn't have shot at me. Just kind of gave away his position. I'm gonna shoot my gun to see if that tracks him. There we go. Dunking that guy.
hot bitch. I'll watch the F list in a bit. I'll do them around. Lose. Same noise over and over and repeating. Just got the fuck up.
And how important it is to prevent it and stop it and not let it happen again. But I can't, and I don't. So all I can do is understand. So I was pointing out how, yeah, I don't feel other people's pain, so it can't motivate me directly. It can't motivate me like my feelings motivate me. So my pain motivates me. Their pain can't motivate me in the same way. I have to first philosophically understand its existence, and then I have to emotionally allow it to sink in. What if it was me? What if it's me? What if it was me? I have to really force myself to feel their pain, and I still can't do it.
Commingling, lots of bad ingredients mixing badly.
Yes, that's a very Garyism. You know, that's the origin of it. There's no guiding principles, no anything. It's just replication for the sake of it, and the competition for the sake of it, and that's it. There's not any idea of creating perfection, because the definition of success and failure isn't about doing anything well. It's just about creating losers. You win, they lose. There's no rules here. That's it. There's just stuff about making us more or less comfortable. And that's how you assign value to everything in the universe. Right. So it's not a very hard one either. I mean, this whole is ought thing is just so silly. You personally experience really good feelings and really bad feelings. Um, you experience the sigh of relief and the agony of pain. You can tell the difference. You know those two things have a value difference. They don't have as they're not different because you spell the word suffering different than you spell the word pleasure. They're different because you physically experience it and can taste it. You can taste the difference. One is repugnant and one is very comforting. So it's just that simple. And you can understand that every brain is creating these sensations. And that's really all there is to play for here in the universe. The only game is how much pain will you cause versus how much comfort will you provide. And that's it. And comfort is prevention, frankly. How many bad things will you prevent versus how many bad things will you cause? That's what a smart person understands. Is usually hurting themselves to get rid of some other pain. So I was just pointing out how, yes, there are people who can thrive on feeling pain, but in all those cases, you'll find that they're just using pain to remove pain. They're just murdering a part of themselves to stop it from murdering other parts of themselves. They're just doing the terribly double negative thing of saying, yes, it's worth throwing one person out of the lifeboat so you can save 10 people. That kind of thing. Caring for one another and actually doing it, but they decide to go to the disco instead. I was just talking about the hippie generation and how they had the chance to change the world, and none of it was sincere or deep, and they decided to go discotheque
Yep.
instead. Saturday Night Fever. Ugh, too foul. The war ends and the cause dies. all of a sudden there's not a problem. So the whole problem for hippies was the draft. There wasn't any other. The rest of these social ills were perfectly okay. They didn't bother fixing any of those. I mean, it's so stupid. I mean, you really can't believe people are that dumb. I think I'm talking about the God delusion, and you're just saying, yes, how do people fall for that crap? I mean, how do they realistically sit there and say, this is a reasonable belief I have? That's just too silly. And yeah, they're doing it out of desperation. They're doing it because they're not emotionally strong enough to face reality. Of rolling dice with your children, gambling is grotesque with somebody else's welfare. This is a grotesque thought. Yeah, so again, and it's all based on intelligence. Again, intelligent people clearly recognize the risks and the dangers and are clearly put off by them. And that's why they have fewer children. It's because they know how big a risk it is. And again, the slobs living in the shit, it doesn't even occur to them to wonder about something else's welfare because they're just too busy being a bug. Ephilism is the reason for the conclusion. So talking about antinatalism versus ephilism, and the fact that when this movie was made, they were more compatible ideas, but it became clearer and clearer to me that there were way too many people who were anti-natalists for completely silly reasons.
Yeah.
Because they didn't like human beings, but they thought nature was wonderful. That kind of crap. And that's not an ally. That's a person who thinks nature is charming and pretty. That's not an ally. Logically, no is the right thing. It's compelled, all right, by emotions and that bias us and corrupt us. So that's the problem. We can intellectually know what the right thing to do is, but we're driven by these silly emotions that just corrupt. They constantly feed us with this self-interested perspective that always dilutes our capacity to do the right thing for the right reasons. Back you have to go. Yeah, to get a brain, you really just, you're talking, what, 400, 500 million years? Okay, so just over the details of when life became a problem, when it started painfully bleeding out. Okay, it bled out for quite a while. What it didn't matter because it wasn't conscious. And then one day it woke up and said, ouch. And that's when this game became um, uh, an insidious, cruel misadventure. You press that button that has in it all the psycho killing, all of that, all these pro-lifers who are just, I can't even imagine them being this glib, but to say that they could comfortably say, yes, I'm confident it's running a profit, that they can think about all the horrors that have been experienced, all the miserably slow death, all the just awful human and animal experiences, and to trivially say, I'm sure it's worth it. I'm sure, my dinner with Andre will be worth it. It'll be so great. It'll be so interesting, so fantastic that certainly it's worth torturing, forcing things to endure, millennia of torture. It's just crazy. The advantage.
We cannibalize each other. And
we cannibalize the environment. We suck its blood. Okay, so then it's.
Do I have any questions for Tristan? Nah, not really. I mean,
on Earth are okay
if
with
he
that.
speaks
They're
to the
okay with,
dead, then
parasiting on
I
other
don't have any
sentient
questions
creatures,
for him.
torturing them, sentencing them to misery, so they can have a ham sandwich. Not because they have to have ham, it's because they just want it. They prefer it. It's more fun, and they're willing to make a huge change in their blood footprint on this planet for that extra bit of fun. And that's really poor thinking, bad judgment. It's stupid. So something that isn't going to succeed and isn't going to experience life as a selfish being. So it's either got intelligence as its liability, it's too smart, and it can see that it's too much, too high a price is being paid for too little profit, and it's not happy with that, or it has a physical disability or some. So talking about the nature of the victims, and yes, you can be a victim, without it being like you were born to it. You can acquire your victimhood by just recognizing I'm a decent thing living in an indecent world. You can figure out that the traditions and habits of the people you live with are cruel and brutal, that they're really just rapists. And you can figure out, I don't want to be one of those. You can live in the age of slavery and you could realize this is horrible, and it could depress you. It could motivate you to live a different life, to maybe fight your neighbor instead of love your neighbor, because you know what you're living in is evil and cruel. So there are lots of victims. The victims aren't just Frankensteins. The victims are anybody, in my opinion, who's grown a little bit of dignity and intelligence through living, become a little bit sophisticated and civilized. They're going to see the meat grinder and they're going to say, why are we pretending this is a fun house? It's a meat grinder. It's not a fun house. You don't throw your kid into its mouth. There's something real at stake. It's not just some silly notion. Yeah, pain and suffering. I think, but something like that. But anyway, I mean, just Old Fan did such a great job of all the artwork, the costumes, the whole thing was done so well. Just beautiful piece of art. Fantastic.
Fix nothing! Nonsense! Life is a great idea! Why don't you just kill yourself? Because then I wouldn't be able to stop you! Oh shit! No! Don't!
Too good.
Yeah, it was still to kill myself today while doing activism. Guy pulled over on the side of the road and rolled his window down and told me to kill myself, and I'm like, okay. I just flipped him off. It's pretty funny.
Right. So that's just the simple logic. He's saving his little brother, as I point out. So that's the game. The monsters, the people who recognize I don't want to do this again, and I certainly don't want to do something worse. I mean, I had it pretty good, and it's far short of good enough. I saw way too much harm, way too much horror. And I didn't have to watch my kid die. I didn't have to watch a whole bunch of stuff that people have to live through. Um, but I've seen plenty, more than enough to know I don't want to do it again. I don't want to live this life where it takes me 25 or 30 years to figure out I'm an asshole. I don't want to have to do all this over again. I don't want to have to be re-educated again and maybe be educated by complete morons in some Muslim nut house. No fucking way to. And so the only thing I can do is save the future me. That's where the reincarnation thing comes in. The future me, the future victim. I can only do, that's it. That's the only thing there is to rescue is the future. You can't fix the present. You can't go back and fix the past. All you can do is fix the future. And if there was a red button, that would be the simple way to fix it. Now there's not a red button, so we have to do it the hard, slow, way, which is to get you to raise your hand and say, "Me too, I get it." Yeah, I get it. We have to do something to stop creating victims. We don't really have a right to keep sucking their blood. Yeah, not that difficult. So I think that's about towards the end. We can go a little tiny bit more.
All
There
right,
it is.
time for another.
Went back to the beginning. Yeah, okay. So anyway, so just a little tribute to a fantastic, effort made by Old Fan, and she did spent a year or two working on it, a little bit at a time, and it was really miraculously brilliant. And it's just unfortunate. Yes, okay, the subject matter isn't going to win her any Academy Awards, but frankly, it was just a really clever and smart in terms of she took a big philosophy, a big pile of philosophy, and she consolidated it into a really well stated message. Anyway, so uh, I guess we'll call that a video. And so, till the next time, and such, and so forth and whatnot. I think that's it. Yeah, I'll have to do.
Hmm. Right on. Let's big vibe. Let's see what else is.
One of the most common attempts I've seen used to try and discredit or brush off the philosophy of anti
Nah, seen this one. An hour and 4 minutes. That's all right with me. Come on, sleep.